Welcome to Building Sustainability Podcast with me, your host, Jeffrey Hart, aka Jeffrey the Natural Builder. Every fortnight, join me as I talk to designers, builders, makers, dreamers and doers, exploring the wide world of sustainability in the built environment by talking to wonderful people who are doing excellent things. Welcome to episode 92 of the Building Sustainability Podcast. This is the third part of the Christmas special, all about the building of my tiny home. It features some Christmas festivities, which include a bit of drinking, and this is the third and final part. So the swearing level has ramped up a little bit, just so you know, if you are listening with small children or sensitive grown-ups. This episode, we focus on the how long, how much, hardest bits, best bits, how to keep motivation, what's it like living in it, future plans, and advice for potential tiny house builders. And I want to give another shout out to the fantastic team at Kind Supply. We just bought a whole load of hemp insulation off them, their Indie Nature hemp product. It turned up last week and it is beautiful stuff. And the guys at Kind Supply were really, really helpful. They are new and hopefully, I think at some point, they should be selling Earth Floor Pre-Mix from myself. So as soon as that's happening, we will let you know. One thing to note about this episode, we talk about how long it took. I didn't make it very clear. It actually took almost a whole year extra from what I thought it would. I thought it would take 8 months. It took a year and 8 months. That doesn't come across very well in the podcast. Blame the copious amounts of mixed booze. Okay, I think that's it. Enjoy the episode. And I'm back very briefly at the end. Cheers. Merry Christmas! Hey. I guess you won that one.
Hey. This is absolute nonsense.
So it's my joke. Where's the top? Oh, it was a pencil.
Oh, look at that.
Okay.
I'll pop that behind the ear.
Let me just read you the joke.
Let's see what the joke says in the cracker.
I told my carpenter I didn't want carpeted steps. They gave me a blank stare.
Ho! And the crowd went wild.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, the question on everyone's lips, the burning question. How long did building your tiny house take you? Well, I'm going to point that question, actually. Point A, how long did you expect the tiny house build to take you? Point B, how long did the tiny house build take you? Point C,
are you disappointed with the difference?
are you disappointed with the difference?
Well, I'll answer point C first. Yes.
There we go, concise.
I think I expected it to take... I started in April. I thought I'd be finished by September.
Yeah.
And I think I started in April and it took until probably to be properly finished August.
Yeah.
So twice as long.
Yeah.
So Yoav in the last episode said, building projects take twice as long and cost 3 times as much.
Yes. Shout out Yoav.
Yeah, shout out to Yoav.
By the way.
Mad skills.
Every time.
Go buy one of his cups.
Buy several of his cups.
So I think that was actually kind of the hardest part of the build. Like, I build houses for a living. What I don't do is build them on my own. And adjusting, if there's 2 people, you think, it's going to take this long. But if you reduce it to 1 person, it's not half as long. It's way less than that.
Oh, yeah.
Because, if I go like, I haven't got the right screw, then I need to go to the shop and I buy the screw and then I come back. Yeah. And at that point, nothing's happening.
Yes.
And, there's things where you're holding stuff up, where
Yeah.
2 hands make it infinitely quicker.
It's an exponential difference, isn't it?
It really is.
1 to 2.
A friend of mine used to say, like, 2 people make it 3 times quicker.
Yes.
And I really, really believe that.
Agreed. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I hadn't gauged how much that would affect things. And it was kind of quite a drain on me, actually.
Yeah.
Like, there were certain parts of the build, like the ceiling in here, took so long.
Yeah.
And they were so demoralizing because they just kept going. Yeah, all I wanted was for them to be done.
Yeah.
And especially the ceiling, because as soon as the ceiling was done, I was going to move in.
Yes.
Because there was no longer like dust falling downwards.
Yeah.
It's like, I can live in a warm space rather than living in a cold, rat-infested caravan.
That was one of my other questions, but just answered. Nicely done.
Rat-infested caravan?
Succinctingness, yeah. Where did you live during the build? Rat-infested caravan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I stayed in the rat's caravan.
Yes.
I was a guest.
Yeah, the rats had you. Yeah.
And they
they
had
have you?
raucous parties most nights that kept me up. Yeah, it wasn't a fun thing. And like, if you listen back to the podcasts where I was chatting to tiny house people beforehand,
You could hear the rats.
no, I was saying all smug, like, yeah, I'm gonna finish the house before I move in.
Right, yeah.
I moved into like the most amount of building sites. Yeah, I was sleeping in just a pile of sawdust up on the mezzanine. Yeah, it was warm and it was rat free, and so I moved in. It was actually on New Year's Day, so almost a year ago. And it's crazy because like I only feel like I've been living in a finished house for a month. 2 months.
Yeah. Because that's probably true. For further to, I listened to the introduction to yours and Yoav's podcast this morning, just to get myself in the zone.
Oh, you heard my Viennetta rant.
I heard your Viennetta rant. Did. Yeah.
How did it come off?
Very well.
Really?
Yeah, a great cracking. It's just you chatting away, mate.
I thought I was just being Mr. Tangential, like
No,
never
good.
finishing a thought, man.
But people like that.
Do
It's
they?
the way people think.
So the last bit was definitely the most difficult.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah.
So there's that whole like 80-20 rule thing where it takes 20% of the time to get 80% through.
Yeah.
And that final 20% takes 80% of the time.
Yes.
And I don't think I'd ever fully appreciated that before because it wasn't just me doing it.
Yeah.
Like in the Hartwin days, I had a team of 10 people who, when we had a massive list of stuff to do, 10 of those things were getting crossed off every day.
Yes.
And it felt like progress.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's my own list, I'd make a list of 10 things and one thing would get crossed off every week.
Yes.
And it's demoralizing.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Which
Uh,
is also my first foray into building.
Yeah?
Was with Hartwin.
Oh, it wasn't it?
Properly. Yeah.
You'd done building before.
I'd done bits and bobs, yeah. I'd done like bits of renovating and stuff, but that was my proper foray into proper carpentry and straw bale work and clay business and
Clay business.
clay business. Yeah.
Well, those were some good old times.
They were. But yes, it is a enormous knockback down to earth, isn't it? When between working with 10, 11, 12 plus people to just good old you.
Just that thing. So I really struggled with it. At the beginning, I was really excited about building this thing on my own and like having, every single thing would be my decision, would be my handiwork, would be my level of detail. Because I'm like pretty anal about detail. Sometimes when it's not Friday afternoon.
It depends.
Yeah, and I was really excited about that. But what the flip side of that is that everything takes so long. And you have to stop to go and buy a thing. Nothing happens on site.
Yeah.
there's a joy in, if you're, say both of us are working and we're working on two different parts of the project.
Yeah.
And then at different points in the day, we come up and see all the progress the other person's made. And it's something that we haven't done. It's just like this thing that has
It just happened.
accumulated.
Yeah.
And the project is that much further on. But if you do it on your own, you're like backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards.
Yeah. And you keep seeing the same bit with nothing more done to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing was that just I'd get lost. I had this thing that just kept happening to me, and I finally kind of clocked it. It was like my 5 o'clock. I'd move into like, what am I going to do tomorrow mode, planning mode. And I'd start looking at a detail and being like, okay, well, I'll just do that and then that, and I'll cut that. And then, I don't quite know how to do this next bit until I do this thing.
Yeah.
And then I start looking at the next thing. And then I go, I don't quite know what to do there until I figure out the next thing.
Yeah.
And I'd basically like turn around in a circle going like, need to figure out that before I can figure out that. Need to figure out that. And I'd spend a whole hour, sometimes multiple hours at the end of the day, just spinning in a circle. And then I'd get back to the beginning and go like, I'll just cut that and cut that. I'll go around again.
Keep going. Yeah.
Because they were unsolvable problems.
Yeah.
And also I was tired and overwhelmed with thinking about, the solar panels and the, the airtightness detail and
every single step of it.
Holding every detail in my brain. And yet, like, working with you for the last month.
Yeah.
There's times where I just voice what is going on in my head, like the thing that's difficult. And you don't even have to respond. Yeah. But the fact that I've said
dump it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've said it out loud, and suddenly it's changed in my brain.
Yeah. Because by virtue of you being around or next to another person, it feels like it's outside of yourself now. Someone else has received that.
Exactly.
It feels like it's not your responsibility now, even if it is. And like you say, it doesn't require me or any other person to come up with a response.
No, you don't have to solve my problem.
No, it's just saying it.
Yeah. And that, I think, was the actually biggest thing. It's like my own brain.
Yeah. But there's a little bit of magic there, isn't there? Because if you're on your own and you just say it, it's not the same.
No.
It's just saying it.
It's like, it's accountability, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you have got your own opinions.
Yeah.
And if I say something to you, I have to actually mean it because, I don't want you to go like, that's stupid.
Fucking what?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I'd say that was definitely the hardest thing.
Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, that's an excellent segue, in fact, Jeffrey, into my next point, which is boringly absolute. But what was your favourite part of the build, and what was your least favourite part of the build? And if you can't put the on it, what was one of your favourite parts, and what was one of your least favourite parts?
Favourite part. I don't know. There's been a lot of like whenever like a big thing happens, it feels, like you've moved forward. But,
do you know what? I'm going to reword the question.
Go on.
What part of the build satisfied you the most? Did you finish it and go, "That's really nice"? And that sort of self-congratulatory, which isn't selfish. It's good. It's positive. It's nice. It's like I did that and it's worked really well as I imagined it.
So, the round with timber frame.
Yeah.
And you know what? I did it in a day.
Yeah.
And I put it up and then it was done.
Yeah.
And but the thing I love round with timber framing.
Yes.
It is one of the most satisfying things to use the scribe, to use the gouges, to like twist your brain to work in the round when there's no datum.
Yes.
I really, really love it. But it was done literally in a day. That frame went up in a day. And there were so many things that took 10 times longer than that.
Yeah.
That you'll never, ever see.
Yeah.
Minuscule amount of visual impact.
But you know it's making the rest of the build good.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it's like details that have to be got right. Like the air tightness.
Yeah.
Using a membrane, you have to tape every seam.
Yes.
And the taping has to not have any little gaps in it.
Any creases and
and
stuff.
If there's a crease, then that's an air gap. So you have to come back and like tape that over. That stuff takes so long. Any penetration through the membrane has to be taped. Each one of those takes so long.
Here's a quick question on that.
Go on.
Were you using / have you seen, if you weren't using, the air tightness tape, which is like elastic and you can bend around corners?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was elastic, yes.
Yeah.
But still, if you've got 2 layers of non-elastic membrane, using an elastic membrane over the top kind of means that it like puckers up.
Yeah.
And then you get a little crevice.
Yeah.
An air crevice.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's actually kind of, I actually found the less elastic stuff to be better.
Right, I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was, definitely the best. And it was, upsettingly quick and straightforward.
Yes. The most satisfying part of the build being the quickest part of the build. It's like, come on, can this at least last 3 or 4 days? Just
can I have
eke this out?
Please have a week of just chiseling joints. That'd be the joy.
Yeah, and I suppose like moving on from that kind of thing, like how, maybe a difficult question to answer, but how did you manage to maintain motivating yourself on your own? Because in my experience on a build, so much of the motivation and the pushing forwards comes from G'ing each other up. And I know that different kettle of fish, building my van took me 7 weeks of intense days, but it's nothing like a year. And there was certain times where, I mean, it was a short enough period of time for me to just be manic and just be building it manically. That was okay.
Yeah, you could have a burnout at the end of that and be fine.
Exactly. You can work 13-hour days for 7 weeks, just about, and it's all right. You can't do that over a year. So how did you manage to maintain that motivation on your own, would you say?
Did I?
Yeah. Or indeed, did you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was definite ebbs and flows. And I think one thing that really kept me going was I called them treat days.
Yes.
Where, like, windowsills, they are an easy thing for me. Like, I've made a lot of windowsills in my time.
Yeah.
But they were like a non-essential thing to do. But they made a big visual difference. And so if I was having a day where I was like, I want to work on the house today.
Yeah.
I'd say, well, you could do a treat day. And I'd basically, like, toddler myself. Go, come on, do you want this or do you want that?
Yeah.
Both the things I want to do. And I'd make these beautiful window sills.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, we're like, oh, okay, that was nice. Okay, I'll go back to air tightness tomorrow, or go back to insulating, or
Yeah.
I think that was the way I'd motivate myself. I mean, I struggled. It was really.
Yeah.
I wouldn't choose to build on my own again. In fact, the reason that you are here at the moment is because I've been given this big project to do on the estate. I don't want to do it on my own.
Yeah. Because it's no fun and it's fucking hard. It's like it's what were we saying before? Like if you've got 2 people, it goes 3 times faster. And if you've got 1 person, it takes 3 times slower. And also there's the motivation lack. Like you haven't got the person to speak to. And never mind asking questions about the specifics. It's just the chatting whilst you're lifting annoyingly heavy bullshit up a hill. The only part that makes that okay is doing it with a mate. Yeah.
And when I'm having a low day and you're having a high day, you sort of drag me along with you.
Yeah.
And then vice versa. Yeah. And that is, when you're on your own, that doesn't happen. And you can spiral so easily. Yeah.
No, fair play. It's a difficult thing to manage, mate, especially over the course of a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but also, I don't want to just be miserable about it,
No, of course not. Like,
because I've done literally everything in this house,
yeah,
and I know every inch.
yeah,
Sorry, I know every millimeter of this building,
yeah,
how it goes together, why I've done a stupid screw in that place.
this is it. And the amount of days and weeks of time of considering that stuff is, you can't quantify the value of it, because that then goes on to every other project and build and thing, a piece of advice in a pub to a bloke or a woman you're chatting to.
Yeah.
Like, it all pours into the same pot. That is a real fast forward in your experience and knowledge and understanding, isn't it?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's something that anybody would find doing. I certainly found that doing a van. Like, it just causes you. Prior to that, I'd always work with people, as you were saying. When you're working on your own, you don't have the luxury of saying, "What do you reckon about this? Do you reckon I should do this or that?" And it's like, well, who am I going to ask? Like, the cat next to me, the postman who's just arrived. No.
Yeah, or sort of deferring those jobs where you just need to make a bit of brain space. So it's like, you go and solve that problem, I'll go and solve this problem.
Yeah.
2 problems solved.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough gubbins.
Definitely that was definitely the hardest bit.
Yeah. And here's, I would argue, an even hardest bit. Do you have any idea what building this house cost you?
Okay. I think I do, yeah. I've got a fairly good idea. It was about, in materials, 40 grand.
Materials only.
Yeah.
40 grand.
And I think quite a lot of tiny house builders would be going, what? Spend so much money.
Yeah.
I would hope that they would also understand that this is a more quality product.
Yeah.
And I feel awkward saying that. Even if you just count the windows, they were substantially more expensive because of airtightness, triple pane.
Yeah. And so I imagine the argument that will be made there then is that the increase in cost of materials to produce an airtight home is
more insulated,
more insulated, airtight, all of the good stuff that you're trying to achieve in this sort of build is therefore, over the lifetime of the building, going to more than justify that extra expenditure.
Yes. And I think,
environmentally, more, as much as financially.
It used to be, up until recently, it would have been that environmentally it was more impactful than economically. But then suddenly this energy spike has happened.
Yes. Yeah.
And suddenly everyone's going, well, they're equally important.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, I do think over the lifespan of this, this building should last at least, oh God, I don't want to put a time on it.
Yeah.
I would not want to design a building that lasted less than 50 years.
Yeah.
I want it to last 100.
Yeah.
Plus over the lifespan, it will absolutely cost wise earn its money back.
Yeah.
But it's not just about cost, it's about comfort, it's about, so the materials I've used, we haven't talked about insulation, but I've used wood fiber, which is, we are building with carbon, so it's locking up carbon. If anyone is listening now thinking about their tiny house build, we just received a whole load of Indie Nature hemp insulation.
Yes.
It is beautiful, incredible stuff. Lightweight, very insulative, made of a fast-growing, carbon-capturing plant that can be grown between cycles of sort of wheat growth, for example, on a farm. It is a brilliant product in all of the ways, and that is what I would have built my house out of if that product had just got to market a little bit sooner. But it hadn't, so I used wood fibre. And wood is a sort of harder thing to quantify in terms of how much carbon is captured, because there's questions about forestry techniques.
Yes.
Whether you clear cut a whole forest actually is maybe detrimental to carbon cycles.
Broadly speaking, yeah.
It's a more tricky equation.
Yeah.
The hemp is a straightforward win. Absolute.
Super soft.
It's super soft. It smells
lovely.
great.
Smells lovely.
We had to load in from.
We had a fucking mountain of the stuff, is what Jeffrey's trying to say. A ludicrous mountain of this stuff. Because of the icy weather on a hill where we're living, the van wasn't able or wasn't willing to drive up the hill, which is fair enough.
It wasn't a van, it was a truck.
Sorry, the truck, should I say, yeah. And so, we had to handball it off and then carry it into the suitable storage place, which was fine. But it was light and soft and nice and not scratchy and fucking awful and cutting into your face like your rock wool or whatever else we'll be doing.
Yeah. And it's storing carbon rather than emitting it. Like spray foam or rock wool, or they cost the world carbon. Nice
gubbins indeed. Good. So we've costed it. We've done that bit. So now you're living in it. How does it feel to live in it, mate? Broadly speaking, how does it feel?
Broad brushstrokes?
Yeah, broad brushstrokes.
It feels ace.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Yeah, really. I have to pinch myself sometimes. It's doing all of the things I thought it would do. I mentioned earlier there was a bit of an issue with an air tightness leak in the bathroom. So there's ongoing snagging.
Of course there's ongoing snagging. But if this is it's a thing that you've done which you're monitoring constantly and seeing how it performs, isn't it? And I remember the other day, as we were saying earlier, it's been extremely icy here, as it has been all over the country, I'm sure, for the last week or so. And it was one morning where my hands were taking a particularly long time to wake up. They were really fucking sore. Actually, about 8:30, 9 in the morning. I remember saying to Jeffrey, what temperature was it in your house this morning with no heating on overnight and so on? And I think he said 15 degrees.
Yeah, that was one of the coldest days. Yeah,
15
it was normally sort of 17 in the morning.
Yeah, so this was like a -3, -4 overnight day. And in the morning time, it was still 15 degrees without any heating, no underfloor heating, no log burner, no nothing on. Log burner probably on for an hour or two in the evening beforehand, I imagine, as is standard for you. And that for me was absolutely spectacular. Compare that to my van, and maybe that same morning, and again with gappy doors and so on taken into account, but there was ice on the inside of the windows. And again, the windows are single glazed, not triple glazed. But just the difference in living quality that morning took a gargantuan effort mentally for me to get out of my lovely cozy bed and throw on my ludicrous all-in-one flight suit.
Sexy as fuck.
Extremely sexy all-in-one flight suit. But that in itself, that morning when Jeffrey said it was 15 degrees, sort of was a big that's a huge difference. That's that's probably a 15-degree difference compared to from
if you're having ice on the inside, then
literally.
And that's what I had in the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that pain and I know that feeling of being in that bed going, I don't want to get, even the little toe out the side of the bed is.
Yeah. And that's it. And that is the sort of perceptual difference. A lot of people would see living in a tiny home, especially because of the building practices used, I think probably traditionally, or not traditionally, but living in a tiny home is classically a way to live more cheaply.
Yeah.
And so extrapolating from that, the building methods used wouldn't always be the most ideal. And so part and parcel, hand in hand, part of that living more cheaply would probably be expected to be a colder, less comfortable environment. And seeing this particular house removes that as from being a necessity. It's not a necessity, actually. That is actually a set of mistakes or a set of wrongly placed things. Yeah, this house exemplifies the fact that you can live in this way and be extremely comfortable, more comfortable than in a lot of, most houses, like most traditionally, well, not traditionally, but
most modern houses don't
modern
have
houses
as much insulation as this building does.
don't have this much insulation.
Yeah, and I do think that 17 degrees in the morning, I think will be improved as soon as I can find that leak that's in the bathroom.
Yeah,
I think that should be up for like 19, 20 degrees in the morning,
which is ludicrous. It's amazing. It's incredibly well performing stuff.
We'll be back after a quick break.
If you're looking for all things BMX racing, you've found the right podcast. Here at Lane 8 BMX Podcast, I'll speak to the local racer, the national racer, and even the Olympic level racers. I'm talking kids to the weekend warriors and much more. So get comfortable, turn up the volume, and remember to snap on green.
Oh, it's nothing compared to a passive house, which has, twice, 3 times as much insulation.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But just for your standard person's perception of a tiny home, or something that would be of this sort of size, that is really, really impressive. That's good numbers. That's some good numbers.
Good stats.
That's some real good numbers. We've alluded to it already. Going to be moving into woods.
Into woods.
When's that happening, mate?
Spring.
Yeah?
Yeah. I need the ground to harden up.
Yes.
And also I need to do some work in the woods to make it ready for me to go.
Yeah.
The big exciting thing in my world is to build a workshop, which will be creating a craft school. So teaching people green woodworking, folk traditions, bookbinding, basket weaving, all kinds of good things here in Exmoor. I want to make it a hub for good people to come to and be connected to nature.
A hub for good stuff.
A hub for good stuff.
Yeah.
Also a really, really nice place to live.
Yeah.
For both myself and yourself.
All right. F5?
Yeah, boy. Oh, did your...
Yeah, I did. Quite well.
Crikey. So that's the future plans.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not I've got any time to do any of that at the moment. There's a whole lot of projects here on the estate.
Yes, indeed.
That are due to be finished at the same time as I want to move.
Yes.
And at the moment, they all seem to be ramping up to say, you're not going to move in time.
So maybe it's a sliding scale and I might have to kick down the hill ever so slightly. The move to the woods.
Maybe.
But
maybe. If you just hurry up and come back from your holidays.
Stop pissing around and traveling for too long.
I know.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm with you. Jeffrey.
Hello.
Jeffrey Hart.
Hello.
You've built a tiny house.
I done it.
Other people would like to build tiny houses.
Yep.
Got any advice for them?
Ooh.
What are your top 3 bullet point advices?
The first one.
Yeah.
Listen to the building sustainability podcast.
Of course it is.
I actually mean that in all seriousness.
Yeah.
Because I've gone through this journey and I've used the podcast to find out information I needed. Mm-hmm. There is a wealth of information from people way smarter than me.
It really, really is.
Thanks, man.
And they really, really are.
Use that and learn loads of stuff and make informed decisions. That would be big advice. Don't think that 150 mil is too much insulation. But I think people are worried about the internal space. So they're like, we couldn't possibly put 150 mil. We'll just put 100 mil of insulation.
Right. Yeah.
It's like that extra 50 mil makes a huge amount of difference.
Yeah, right.
And like the way we're sat now, it doesn't feel like a small space.
No, not at all. It's plenty big.
50 mil off each wall
is
that much more.
Yeah, wouldn't even enter the mind. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
it's worth that extra.
Yeah.
What else would I say? Natural materials, cork. If you can go cork, I really, really love cork as a sustainable, renewable material. It is pretty fucking smashing. Have I got any other top tips? Embrace biophilia.
Embrace biophilia. Get more biophilic. Get your biophil of it.
Ick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get bio, get biophilic.
Feels like you're doing like an Ariel advert.
It's massively.
Ariel, non-biophilic.
Ariel, wood in your washing machine.
So I think we're done, are we?
Sorry, everyone. No, we're not. The very most important question. What does it weigh?
Oh, no, you didn't.
Shit.
So that is actually an interesting question.
Yes.
Because I did loads of spreadsheets and I calculated how much all of this stuff weighs.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was going to be just under the weight limit. And then I put a massive timber frame in. So what I've done is I've made so much of this stuff removable. This bookcase is, I could take out 3 screws and the whole thing comes down, posted out the door.
Yeah.
The desk is basically sort of slotted in like one of those old balsa wood. Do you remember those like...
yeah. Like a plane.
Yeah, you make a plane or you make a
yeah,
dinosaur and it just slot together.
Yeah.
That's what this desk setup is.
Right, I see.
So all of that can come out. That's a whole load of weight. That wood stove,
Yeah.
I can take that out. I can take out all of the flue pipe. I can take out the oven. I can take out the fridge.
Frigidero.
So, yeah, my weight calculations were based on all of those things being included.
Yes.
It'll be really close.
So you bet you're...
Even with removing all that stuff, I think
Yeah.
it'll be really close because I've really focused on making it energy performance.
Yeah.
But I think even if it does come overweight, I'm pretty sure you can just stick it on the back of a flatbed.
Yeah.
And instead of towing it as a trailer, you just
Flatbed, it doesn't
carry
matter.
it
Yeah.
as a thing.
Yeah. And also, what does it weigh? Number 2, what does it cost? You said it cost about 40 grand in materials, but an interesting question is what you think it also cost you in time. And
yeah, good question. I think if I insured it for 120 grand.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's a
Sizable chunk of money,
an
isn't
amount
it?
of money.
Yeah. So for me to work for a year
Uh-huh.
is 50 grand.
Yeah.
And it took me more than a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be a model of building, like if I was selling these.
Yeah.
I don't know if, would people pay 120 grand? I don't know.
In today's bloody market, mate.
Well, exactly.
Who fucking knows?
It's a hard thing to quantify.
Yes, it is.
But if you puss... If you puss...
If you puss. Go on. I'm listening. What happens if you puss?
Yeah, if you add material cost to time cost,
Yeah.
that is how much it costs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think, yeah, as we've said, if 2 of us or 3 of us made this,
Yeah.
then the labour cost would come down.
Yeah.
So this one on its own as like a prototype,
Yeah.
120 grand.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, maybe it'd be 100 grand
Yeah.
for the exact same thing built again.
Yeah.
Yeah, if people want to buy one, get in touch.
Give us a shout.
I don't know. That's not something I've ever really thought about.
Why not do it?
Why not?
Well,
Or build your own and live all of those agonizing decisions all by yourself.
yeah. And enjoy them and don't enjoy them, but be in them.
Yeah.
It is good. It's a fucking satisfying. I've not built a tiny home like this, but I've built a much, much tinier home.
You built loads of other things.
I built lots of other stuff too, but there's a deep level of satisfaction in having done it. And also you need to have the tools to do the thing and the experience and knowledge how to do the thing, or the friends to ask about how to do the thing. It's a fucking... It's like when someone says, how much will it cost to build this thing for me? It's like, well, how long is your piece of string?
Yeah.
like,
how far back do you want to go to me investing in all the things which allow me to do that?
Yeah, it's such an impossible question to answer.
Yeah.
But it's a thing, and it is like, if you can do it, if you've got the time and the wherewithal and the access to tools or money to get the tools, and you can do it over a long period of time, fucking great. Fill your boots, go for it. Such a satisfying thing. And then anything in between. It's a sliding scale, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Jeffrey.
Hello.
Are you satisfied with that interview?
No, begin again.
Yeah. Good. I feel like I need to do the outro music, don't I?
Oh, yeah. This is the I can't wait. I'm going to pop a cracker in celebration. Is it sad to do a cracker on your own?
No, it's not. It's extremely cheerful. Okay.
Can you just nod when I should do it?
Yeah. So I'm going to do the outro music now, having drunk as much as we drank. There we are. Okay. Here we go. Right. Beautiful. That's been Mike Hill and Jeffrey Hart on Building Sustainability.
Well, that is it. Part 3 done. Thank you so much to Mike Hill. Wonderful company, good chats, asked excellent questions, is far better at this job than I am. Maybe we'll make this a Christmas tradition. That's it. If you've got comments on any of this stuff, head on over to the Building Sustainability community. That is a Facebook page where you can chat to the other listeners, query details, share ideas. Thank you for listening all the way to the end of the third part of this. I hope you are having a wonderful Christmas. If it's not Christmas, I just hope you're having a brilliant day. And all that's left is really to say thank you so much for listening to all the podcasts this year. It's been a good one. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. I think I say that every year. Yeah. See you in 2023. Cannot wait. All the best. See you. Bye.